Hey San Diego, welcome back to the Apartment Geek Weekly. I'm your host, Chris Robinson. Hope everybody's doing well and staying safe. June gloom, I'm praying for the sunshine every day, and I think it's around the corner, maybe another week or two of this. Two areas that I want to talk about. I've kind of been sitting with this for probably a week or maybe a little bit more, and I think finally I'm like, I'm going to dig into these two topics, and I hope they add some insights for people, and especially the active investors who are involved and want to expand their portfolios. So the first one is this. It's an idea that I've heard a lot of real successful owners tell me over the years, and some mentors from the past, and that's the notion that you always want to be moving your money around. So when I mean money, I mean equity in the real estate. So if there's an angle to refinance property, to pull money out, to go purchase more apartment units, again, expanding, that's one of the paramount reasons, the most valuable options to moving money around. Typically what happens with these apartment buildings, I see a lot of people buy them and they kind of get complacent over 3, 5, 7, 10 years. What will happen in San Diego, and this is why one of the beauties of owning real estate here, is things appreciate pretty well. It's a pretty dependable location for appreciation. So what happens is the equity rises in a building. A lot of times the cash flow will also rise because rents will go up. But as that bottom equity number, this is talking about a return on equity number or cash on cash number, and that's really kind of the rating of how the property is performing as far as cash flow. Typically when the appreciation goes up over years and you don't refinance or you don't sell the property, what happens is the return on equity goes down. And we always want to be kind of analyzing. I think of like an oil, checking the oil in your car, maybe like cars from a couple decades ago. We don't really have to do that now with new technology, but checking the oil, you're always kind of taking a test on how the engine's performing with regards to like the oil level. And if you see the equity go away, typically those equities grow and the cash flows grow too, but the returns go down, as I mentioned. It's a great time to refinance, put more debt, new debt on the on the property, and hopefully that's a bigger loan and you can pull some money out tax-free. Again, that's huge. And then use that to go purchase more units. Even if things seem expensive in San Diego, they're going to be more expensive in another 3 years, in another 5 years. So always be purchasing and always seeing if there's an angle to pull money out, go buy more. Or if you say you've refinanced a property 2-3 times and it's time and you kind of squeeze that lemon and you can't do it anymore, then maybe think about selling that property and doing a 1031 and going from a 20 unit up to a 30 unit, for example, purposes. So moving the money around, is like always kind of doing a little evaluation of the property and kind of thinking about where's my equity, what's the loan, how is this thing performing, I always look at cash on cash. That's why it's one of the reasons why a lot of clients and myself, to toot my own horn, have been successful in this, because I'm always focused on cash on cash, return on equity. That's where the gold is, and frankly, I think that's one of the reasons I own real estate. It's because I want to create as much passive income as possible, to where I have a choice on whether I want to go to the office and work or want to go to the factory and make widgets. Widgets is just my for fun symbol of having to go, do work to make money. Where apartment buildings, obviously, if you own enough of them, then they can fund a very nice, fun, exciting lifestyle for you and your family, which is why I think you should be in it. So move the money around, always thinking about refinancing, selling. This is what the real successful people do. They don't buy a building and then just kind of let it go. And that's why I don't really care for 30-year fixed financing on fourplexes because you don't really want that loan for 30 years. I understand it's conservative and safe and dependable, but the key is to be moving around. New loans go on properties, you pay this off, you sell this building, you go into another building, etc. The second topic I want to talk about is interest-only financing for apartment buildings. Interest-only financing kind of has a bad reputation because of that being one of the reasons why we went into the financial crisis in 2008. Interest-only financing then, 12 years ago, was used by people who could not afford the house, and the interest-only loan or the negative amortized loan created a payment that was affordable for them, and they could go live in a $2 million house or whatever it may be. Now, when we're talking about commercial buildings or income property, I really like interest-only financing, and there's a lot of lenders out there that will offer this as a loan program. Sometimes if it's a 7-year loan, they'll offer 3 years of interest only, and then it goes to a fully amortized loan at the end of 3 years. There's a lot of different programs out there, but I really like the interest-only debt, and this is why. So in San Diego apartments, or in a good area of apartments, underwriting's done, commercial underwriting's done on a debt coverage ratio, like a lot of people know. What that typically means is the down payment needed is going to be big, 30%, 35%, 40% or more, especially if you're buying in the beach areas. A lot of down payments are 45 to 50% or more. So you already have this big chunk of equity or principal that's part of your purchase, your big picture. Now, if you look at it, the difference between a fully amortized loan and an interest-only loan, say you go over a period of 5-7 years, the amount of equity that you actually pay off is so small in proportion to the whole big picture. Now, what's interesting, if you do an interest-only loan, you're able to make a lot more money because you're not paying principal off of your monthly payment. And if you look at probably what the value of that asset will do that you purchased, the property will do over 5 or 7 years, I bet you it goes up way more in appreciation and equity growth than the amount of principal you would have paid off in that period. So this comes back to a lot of my colleagues, and I talk about this, you go, why don't we just do interest-only financing forever on all of our properties, assuming that you're buying stuff within San Diego that history tells us does this as far as values. San Diego real estate appreciates. It's done so for 100 years. It's going to do so for another 100 years. And I mark my words, if you go buy something out there at a top level price today, it's going to be worth more in 2 years, in 4 years, in 6 years, in 10, etc. So interest-only debt is a way for us to buy real estate that's producing income and to have a lower loan payment, therefore cash flow the property more. And that's huge, especially now with rent control. We can only raise our rents 7.2 or 7.5%. And if you're purchasing a building with typically the rent rolls are pretty stale when we purchase a building. Now we've got interest-only debt. We've got a lower loan payment, so we can still cash flow that property while we're getting those rents up closer to market levels, or maybe there's some remodels that need to be done or whatever it may be. So interest-only debt for income property in good areas is a huge advantage, and I think it's got this bad reputation from the last financial crisis, and I think for even myself, I think I judged it maybe 5 years or before, where now I'm going, it makes sense. This is why we own these properties, for passive income and to fund our lifestyles and our family and the fun things we like to do, or the people we like to help, or whatever it may be. Why not structure it so that we're making a little bit more money, especially in the beginning? So moving money around, always kind of taking a nice little test of how your building's doing. Is there an angle to pull money out? Again, buy more units with. Is there an angle to, what if I sell this and go into something else? So always kind of running models. And that's one of the big things I do here at Acre from an advisor standpoint, is I help people really take that oil test of the engine and look at kind of how something is doing. We just had a meeting today in La Jolla with a really nice client, looking at kind of the holistic picture. And with this particular client, prospective client, there's some very clear ways that we can help this person structure a more passive, more basic, more profitable situation with probably some more free time. So we're here to help, and I've got, I think, about 30 shirts left. I gave a bunch out this last week, and they're totally free. I wanted to make this clear. There's no tricks about the shirt thing, and they're really cool. And I get compliments randomly at the coffee shop, and they don't know that I was the one who made the shirt. But I was joking with Monsi that I think I maybe need to go into the fashion business because I'm getting good compliments on them. So if you want a shirt, let me know. If there's a model that you want me to put together for you with one of your properties, let's dig into it. We're really good at this stuff. We're good at helping people make cash flow. That's the main driving motivation to be in apartment business. If you're in it for something else, I mean, good for you, but I just think you got to focus on the numbers. So we're here to help. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, let me know if I can help, and be well. Bye.